Many sports fans would cherish the role of making roster decisions for his or her favorite team. Technology has allowed them to do so. Free fantasy sports sites like ESPN or Yahoo are popular, but there is money to be made in a virtual front office as well as money to be spent. More than 30 million Americans compete in fantasy sports, and roughly $800 million is spent on the industry each year. Kyle Logan is one of these fantasy sports players.
I first started playing maybe only a couple years ago. I was never big into fantasy because I never had people to play with, but recently, now I'm in it every single season. You basically get to be the coach, you get to be the GM, you choose who you want as your team, you get to simulate your own draft with your friends, so it's almost what every sports fan looks forward to each year.
The average fantasy player spends more than $450 a year on tools such as expert advice columns or breakdowns of each team's roster tendencies. That same fan most likely makes more than $60,000 a year. Studies show that he or she will spend more money on alcoholic beverages, food, and sports magazines while playing fantasy sports.
Do you find that when you play fantasy sports that you spend more on things like food or alcohol or things that you would do if you were going to an actual sporting event?
Absolutely. I think that gathering with other individuals to watch games where you have players in it adds to the competitiveness.
A possible explanation of that spike is the lure of gambling in fantasy leagues. Some participants will agree to pitch in small amounts just to add some sugar to winning a league championship. But it is not uncommon for fantasy leagues to have cash prizes ranging north of $1,000.
There are people that will not only gamble but just spend unusually high amounts of money on things like fantasy trading magazines, or to get inside information from guys like Matt Berry at ESPN. How do you feel about people that spend their own money just to win?
I mean, if it works, then you pay off in the long run. But a lot of people say you do what you love, and for many of those big money spenders, fantasy football and fantasy sports in general is what they love. So they're going to do everything and anything.
Some have speculated that a monopoly will soon be created among fantasy sports companies, but regulating the virtual sports business is a long way off.